Let's talk for a little while about capitalism. Capitalism falls on a spectrum of economic systems, from a pure market economy, which we would call capitalism, to the farthest left-hand side of a planned economy. We're going to talk about planned economies and socialism in another video, but let's talk about capitalism. Capitalism is an important part of an individual's ability to create wealth. Individuals can become wealthy because they get to make choices about how they want to invest their labor. You can invest your labor a couple of ways. You can work for someone else for a wage or a salary, or you can go into business for yourself. So one of the things that, one of the elements of capitalism is the ability to be an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship is one important element. It's not, everyone doesn't have to be an entrepreneur, obviously, but it is an element that has to be available in a capitalist system, for a capitalist system to work. One of the other elements, a really important element, is the ability to own private property. All of us probably own some sort of private property. If nothing else, you do own your intellectual capital and you own your own private labor. You get to choose, like I said before, where you want to invest that labor. And you get to determine how much you want to charge for your labor, especially if you're an entrepreneur. On the other hand, even if you work for someone else, you get to talk to the employer about how much you're worth. You might choose to go and change jobs so that you can earn more money. Again, that's an element of private property. If we talk about entrepreneurs and the issue of private property, you think about the things that an entrepreneur must invest. They must invest their time, their own capital, their own money. They might set aside a part of their home to start their home-based business. All of that is something that they can do as a private choice. There's no government telling them that they can't do that. Another element to the capitalist system is the ability to earn profits and to keep those profits and do what you want with them. So again, that's another important element. I want to go back in history for a little bit and talk a bit about the founding of America. Prior to the Pilgrims and all the other people who came to the United States got here, they were living in other countries, and for the most part, I never want to say anything is 100%, but for the most part, when people were born into a certain realm of life, they were stuck there. If you were rich and you were belonged to what we might call the landed gentry, well, then you were the landed gentry, and you got all the things that came along with that, whether it was hearing with the king and the ability to grow wealth. However, on the other side, we had the poorest of the poor. We could call them peasants. We could call them the poor folk. We could call them serfs if it were in the Middle Ages. But those folks were destined, i.e. doomed, to work for someone else for the rest of their lives because they had no ability to accumulate wealth in order to invest it in something else. The systems just were not in place. Sure, they could have saved their meager earnings, but their meager earnings were mostly designed to pay for whatever they needed for that day, the food for the day and so forth. In the middle and sort of lower end, lower than halfway up, were what we call the merchant class. The merchant class were the people who were able to go into business, and they were able to accumulate some wealth. For the most part, though, they didn't have that leg up, that silver spoon that one might be born with in the mouth. So they didn't have some of those extra elements that the landed gentry, the royalty, if you will, had. So in general, to go back to my point, when these folks were born into a specific class, they would stay in that class for the rest of their lives. When people came to the United States, or when they came to America, we'll talk about it as they came to America, they had the opportunity. We talk about the land of opportunity. For them, it was the land of opportunity because they could come and they could be whatever it is they wanted to be. Some people were actually given land grants by the king, and so they were actually given property. But other people could decide I have a talent, and while they might have been poor, they might be an indentured servant or whatever, they could now come to this country and build a business, not something that they would have been able to do in their original homeland. It just wouldn't have been very easy. So there was this very much an idea that you could be whatever it is you wanted to be when you came to America. And so that's why it is called the land of opportunity, because prior to coming to America, those folks could not really dream of an opportunity. So there is that issue of the American dream, that whole idea that people could dream about something and actually do it. Now, remember though, I'll close with this. This country is still the land of opportunity, but it's not about luck or chance or just general circumstance. The land of opportunity comes with, there's something out there for you, but you have to seize it. You have to seize it. And the only way that you can seize it is through hard work. And that's an element that seems to be lost today. That sure, you can have a lot of things, but it comes from hard work. Certainly there are people who are born with special talents, who, but they have to, and that's a luck thing for them, if you will, but they have to work at it, they have to practice it, they have to hone those skills that they have, and they have to take advantage of them. You can't just say, oh, I was born to be a basketball great, I just get to earn the income of a basketball player, an NBA player, without actually doing the practice and the hard work and the discipline that comes with it. So we're going to talk a little bit later about socialism and planned economies, and we'll talk about a little bit more about the role of government as well.